It's time for Colbert on Golf with Jim Colbert and Kevin Keatsman. Each week, we'll break down what's happening in the world of golf with insights and big-name interviews, plus tips from the winner of 28 tournaments on the PGA and Champions Tours, Jim Colbert. Colbert on Golf is built by Midland Exteriors, online at midlandexteriors.com. Midland Exteriors, we've thought of everything.
Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome to Colbert on Golf, presented by Midland Exteriors. In the next 30 minutes, we got a lot to talk about with our man Jim Colbert. The Open Championship is a little over a week away, and we've got some injuries out there with some of the biggest names in golf to talk about as it relates to that field. The John Deere Classic is this week, and we'll take a look back at the Greenbrier and Kansas State's Robert Streb's 5 birdies with a sand wedge over the weekend in West Virginia. It is all ahead on this edition of Colbert on Golf, and Jim Colbert joins us now to talk about all of it. Hi, Jim. How you doing today?
Kevin, I'm doing fine. By the way, I enjoyed that weekend down with you guys playing golf, and I was particularly happy that Jack Harry and I won again. Made my week. I think it made Jack's week, and you boys need to work on your game. We
do, and Mr. Harry, who was the longtime sports director at the NBC affiliate here in Kansas City, has retired after 45 years in television in Kansas City, and I think he had the week of his life. He got to retire, play with a pro, and maybe win a couple of bucks all at the same time. Pretty good week for Jack.
Yeah, well, I mean, it sounds like we killed you. I think we got really lucky we won one up.
Somehow it's never luck with you, is it now? It's just not the way it works. There's a lot of news in golf right now. This is a big time, obviously. We've got the John Deere Classic this week and then the Open Championship next week. Jordan Spieth has won the first 2 majors of the year, and everybody's trying to handicap his possibility of winning all 4 majors, and what an unbelievable feat that would be. And I think he got a little bit of a help in the last few days when we learned that Rory McIlroy is now hurt. He was having a soccer kickabout, as he calls it, which is just him and his friends kicking the soccer ball in the backyard, when he tore up his ankle pretty good. He says he tore a ligament in his ankle. Some of the doctors have said this could take as little as 10 days to heal or as long as 6 weeks, depending on the severity. It's isolated in a boot right now. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts of Rory McIlroy's injury. I'm sure at some point you've played with sore ankles or torn up ankles. How much trouble is he in for the Open Championship here?
Kevin, I never had ankle problems, but I had back problems. It seems like every time I play good, then my back would act up with my facet joints, and I'd miss 2, 3, 4 months at a time. I never played 2 complete years on the regular tour, mainly because of my back, and then, of course, my knees. I've got a, artificial left knee now, but I had 1 conventional surgery before that. I had 4 scopes on it. I've had 2 scopes on the right knee, and that stuff does wear and tear on you, that's for sure. As far as McIlroy, when you're in your own business, he's his own boss. So, but what the heck's he doing playing soccer or kicking the soccer ball? The only one he hurts is himself. He's not hurting a teammate. He's not hurting the fans, representing the city or something like that. But I just think it's probably a freak accident. But I saw him in the boot, and it's his left leg, and that's the one that has to hold you. On the backswing, you kind of get to the right side. They call it loading up. And then when you come down and through, it's pretty violent. And that left leg and that left foot have to hold you. I would think he'd have been a lot better off if it was the right foot than the left one. So I can't imagine he'll be ready to play in the British Open.
You make an excellent point about he only hurts himself in this sport if you get injured. And, I'm a big proponent of these young guys living their lives. I don't think you take a bunch of chances. I wouldn't go snow skiing and do a bunch of that stuff in season. There's going to be a 2 or 3 month period of time in more of the off season where these guys work a little bit, but not around the majors. The major season's a big deal. But I don't think when you're winding down, hanging out with your friends, I saw some pictures of Jordan Spieth after he won the U.S. Open on a boat in the Bahamas. I think you got to go live your life, man. As long as you're not out there doing stupid, risky stuff or drinking and partying too much, wrecking your chances of winning. This kid loves soccer. He loved playing soccer growing up. It's what he likes doing. It's what his friends can do with him. Let's be honest. His friends probably don't have that much fun playing golf with him. When he's as good as he is, that's probably not what he wants to do with them or they want to do with him. And you're hanging out at the house kicking a soccer ball around. I say live your life, man. I've got no problem with this.
Yeah, I don't either. And, I was fortunate enough to see him on Faraday's show when Faraday was with him. and all the way over his house in Ireland and everything. And during that show, they were kicking the soccer ball right out back, and I mean, he had some velocity on that bit. It wasn't the first time he ever kicked a soccer ball. So obviously, he's a huge soccer fan, and his technique was very athletic when he was kicking it. But, you know, I don't know whether he stepped in a hole. I don't know what happened. But, you know, like you say, just living life, and it's an accident. He'll get over it. The bad news is he shouldn't, and I doubt if he will, rush back to play in the British Open, or the Open they call it. That left leg and ankle, I don't know how it could, with his torque and his speed and velocity, I don't know how he'd be able to do it. I really don't.
What's between the British Open and the PGA? Is there anything major between there? Because if he did rush it back and re-aggravate it or whatever, he'd still probably have plenty of time to make the PGA, wouldn't he? I mean, some of these guys will try. They'll try. Yeah, in some way, you got to give him credit. He'll just try. It may not work, may not be effective, but do you think he'll just try?
I don't think he'd be able to.
If he did try, it'd be hard to see him winning if he's dealing with a lot of pain or can't quite be right. How do you handicap Jordan Spieth's chances at the British Open now that Rory McIlroy, in all likelihood, is not going to be a factor?
Well, he's going to be a big favorite. That's for sure. I don't like the fact that he hasn't been over there, that he only played St. Andrews once, from what I've read or heard. And you and I looked him up, and like you said, he was in the Bahamas, and he's practicing back in Texas, which means in the last couple of weeks he didn't go over and do some homework on the golf course. And he's playing the John Deere, which is good for him because that was where he won his first tournament. So he's being loyal to them. They won't fly out of Milwaukee or out of John Deere until Sunday night. So basically fly for 6 or 7 hours and get in the morning. Jeez, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, when you saw at the Open all the really good players, they'd come in, they were playing, you know, Saturday, Sunday, maybe 18 on Monday, then 9 on Tuesday, 9 on Wednesday, figuring they have all their homework done and want to be well rested and right frame of mind. I don't know if he'll have enough time to get to the same spot he was in at Augusta or the U.S. Open. I thought he'd do some homework. What I'd really like to know is if his caddy went over there in that interim and did a lot of homework. I haven't been able to find that out. I don't know if you have or not, but I haven't been able to find that out.
I know this. We'll hear from Robert Streb in our next segment about his play with his sand wedge as his putter last weekend at the Greenbrier, but we had him on our radio show here in Kansas City earlier this week. Streb said he has not been to St. Andrews, but his caddy has, and he said he's been studying the golf course and feels like he knows it very, very well before he's even been there. And this has to do with computers, flyovers, videos, animations of elevations of the greens. I think these guys today have so much access and time on airplanes and in cars and stuff with their computers that they feel like they know a lot of these places before they get there. At least that's the way Streb made it sound. I'm not sure. It's not. Of course, it's not the same as going and playing, but he is going to get to play a couple of times. So I'm assuming Spieth has done the same thing. You could send your caddy and be pretty familiar with the place before you get there, couldn't you?
Well, there you go, Kevin. I'm just giving away my age. You know, I can get the sports scores on the computer. I can get the money lines and the gambling lines on the computer. But you're absolutely right. You know, with the videos and all that stuff, those guys wouldn't bat an eye in being able to pull all that up and the exact yardage on all the bunkers and everything. So I just gave away my old school, and like you would pull that up in 30 seconds. You wouldn't even give it a thought. So my bad.
Well, I'm not sure it would do me any good. I think I need to see something. I'm visual. I can see an elevation, and we see all these things when we watch golf on TV, and they show the elevations and all the different things on a golf course. That is not the same as being there. I mean, I've seen them try at golf courses I've been to, and I look at these things on a screen, and I go, okay, I get that, but I've been to that golf course. That still doesn't do it for me. It can't be the same. All it can do is provide information for the player that, hey, this exists. It's still not the same as going and bouncing one off a mound or a hill and seeing how it rolls on a green. You can't replace that experience. And Streb told me earlier this week He said what's going to help him more than anything is he thinks he's going to get to play with Tom Watson in a practice round, and he said there is nobody better to play in a practice round at that golf course with than Tom Watson.
Well, that's great for him. When you play St. Andrews, it's the left line. And you say, what's that? Well, you couldn't build that golf course today. They wouldn't let you. But there's 7 holes going out and 7 holes coming back in. There's 14 holes. And you play the left side on both of them, which means there's basically one fairway for the 2 holes, in and out. The guys coming in have the right-of-way, and the guys going out will let them clear before they shoot. I mean, you'll walk off some tees, and you won't go 50 yards, and there's a bunker sitting there for the left. You say, what in the world is that doing here? Well, that's for the other hole coming in. It's the most unique golf course I've ever been around, and they just call it the left line. You just play the left line in and out on those 14 holes. And those 14 holes have double greens. So it is very, very unique. Fun to play. You can see the bunkering is very extreme, and it started with that's just where the sheep dug holes and curled up to get out of the weather. So pretty severe.
Awesome stuff. We'll talk again. The British Open is next week. We'll talk much more next week with Jim about St. Andrews and the Open Championship when Colbert on Golf returns. Oh, my. How about Kansas State's Robert Streb? 5 birdies this week on the PGA Tour using his sand wedge as his putter. We'll get into that. Tiger Woods with his best play in a long, long time. And the owner of the Greenbrier gives away almost $200,000 to the fans walking around handing out $100 bills. We'll explain all that next on Colbert on Golf.
Midland Exteriors is proud to be a presenting sponsor of Colbert on Golf. Just as Jim Colbert pursued excellence on the course, Midland Exteriors is committed to excellent products for your home and exceptional customer service for you. Midland Exteriors knows Kansas weather can be tough on your home, so we offer only fiberglass windows and seamless steel or fiber cement siding. It's the good stuff, and so is our service. Online at MidlandExteriors.com. Midland Exteriors, we've thought of everything.
Colbert Hills is one of the most unique golf experiences in the entire Midwest, and the hills are calling your name. At Colbert Hills, you're going to experience huge elevation changes, tour-quality greens, and an award-winning design by Jim Colbert. Tee times, specials, and stay-and-play packages are available online at ColbertHills.com. Book a foursome or bring a huge group, and the staff at Colbert Hills will roll out its legendary hospitality. Who knows? You might even run into Jim at the tee box or after your round at Colbert's, which is so much more than just the 19th hole. Visit ColbertHills.com today.